Marcus Johnson wiped the sweat from his forehead as he looked at the broken hover bench in front of him. The morning sun of New Terra was already getting hot, and he had been working for 30 minutes. The bench floated 3 feet above the ground, but it was tilting to one side like a broken table. He opened his repair kit and pulled out his scanner. The small device beeped as it checked the bench's power system. Marcus smiled when he saw the problem on the screen. It was just a loose power cell, nothing too hard to fix. The central plaza of Haven City was busy as always. People walked by on their way to work or shopping. Some stopped to watch Marcus work. A few even said hello because they knew him from school or from other repair jobs he had done around the city. Marcus had been part of the Youth Engineering Corps for 2 years now. It was a program where young people learned to fix things around the colony while helping their community. He loved the work. Every broken machine was like a puzzle he could solve. He was reaching under the bench to fix the power cell when he heard someone walking up behind him fast. The footsteps sounded angry. "Hey, what do you think you're doing?" Marcus looked up to see a woman standing over him. She was white, maybe 40 years old, with short blonde hair and a red face. She looked mad about something. Marcus had never seen her before. "I'm fixing this bench," Marcus said politely. He held up his scanner so she could see it. The power cell came loose. It should only take a few more minutes. The woman crossed her arms and glared at him. "I don't think so. You're breaking it, not fixing it. I saw you hitting it with tools." Marcus blinked in surprise. He hadn't been hitting anything. He had been very careful with the bench, just like his teachers had taught him. "No, ma'am, I'm really fixing it," he said. He pointed to his toolkit, which had the Youth Engineering Corps logo on the side. "See? I'm part of the repair program. I have permission to work on public equipment." The woman looked at his toolkit but didn't seem convinced. "I don't care what that says. You don't look like you belong here. This is a nice part of town, and I don't want people like you breaking things." Marcus felt his stomach drop. He knew what she meant by people like you, even though he hoped he was wrong. He had heard those words before from some of the older people who came from Earth. Most people on New Terra didn't talk like that, but some still did. "Ma'am, I live here too," Marcus said, keeping his voice calm. "I go to school just 2 blocks away. I've been fixing things in this plaza for months." More people started to gather around them. Marcus recognized some faces from around the neighborhood. There was Mrs. Kelly from the flower shop and Mr. Rodriguez who ran the food cart. They looked confused about what was happening. The angry woman got louder. "I don't believe you. Show me some ID. Show me who gave you permission to be here." Marcus reached into his pocket and pulled out his student card and his Youth Corps badge. Both had his picture and showed that he was authorized to do repair work anywhere in the city. The woman barely looked at them. "These could be fake. Anyone can make fake cards these days." "They're not fake," said Mrs. Kelly, stepping forward. "I know this boy. He fixed my shop's door last month. He did a great job. And he helped me with my cart's cooling system," added Mr. Rodriguez. "He's a good kid." But the angry woman shook her head. "You people are all the same. You stick together and lie for each other. Well, I'm not going to let this happen in my neighborhood." She pulled out her communication device and started calling someone. Marcus could hear her talking to the Colonial Security Force. "Yes, I need officers at Central Plaza right now," she said into the device. "There's a suspicious person here destroying public property. He's being aggressive and threatening people." Marcus felt his heart beat faster. He wasn't being aggressive or threatening anyone. He was just trying to do his job. But he knew that sometimes when people called security, things could go wrong, especially for people who looked like him. He touched the small recording device on his collar. All Youth Corps members wore them to document their work. He was glad. It was recording everything that was happening. "Ma'am, I'm not threatening anyone," Marcus said carefully. "I'm just fixing this bench like I'm supposed to. You can call my supervisor if you want to check." The woman ended her call and pointed at him. "Don't move until the officers get here. I'm going to make sure they know exactly what you were doing." More people had gathered now. Some were taking pictures and videos with their devices. Marcus could hear them talking quietly to each other. "That's Marcus Johnson," someone said. "He's always helping around here." "Why is she so angry?" asked another person. "This is crazy," said a third voice. "He's just a kid doing his job." Marcus kept working while they waited for security. The power cell was almost fixed, and he wanted to finish the job. He had been taught that no matter what happened, he should always complete his work if it was safe to do so. The woman watched him like a hawk. "Stop that. I told you not to move." "I'm almost done," Marcus said. "The bench will be dangerous if I leave it half fixed." "I don't care. Stop touching it right now." Marcus sighed and put down his tools. He had learned that sometimes it was better to wait, even when you were right. His parents had taught him that. They said that being right wasn't always enough to keep you safe. He stood up and brushed off his knees. The crowd around them was getting bigger. People were starting to look angry, but not at Marcus. They were looking at the woman who had called security. Marcus checked his watch. The security officers should arrive soon. He hoped they would understand what was really happening. He hoped they would let him finish his work and go home. But deep down he felt worried. He had heard stories about things like this happening to other young people who looked like him. Stories about how a simple misunderstanding could turn into something much worse. He looked at the broken bench and then at the angry woman. All he had wanted to do was fix something that was broken. Now he was waiting for police officers to come and sort out a problem that never should have existed in the first place. The sun was getting hotter, and Marcus could feel sweat on his back. He stood there quietly, waiting, while the woman kept glaring at him, and the crowd kept growing around them. The security vehicle landed softly in the plaza 5 minutes later. 2 officers stepped out, both wearing the blue and silver uniforms of the Colonial Security Force. The first officer was a tall Hispanic man with kind eyes. His name tag read Martinez. The second officer was an Asian woman with short black hair. Her name tag said Chen. Officer Martinez looked around at the crowd that had gathered. He could see this wasn't the usual vandalism call they had expected. There were too many people, and they all looked upset about something. "What seems to be the problem here?" Officer Martinez asked in a calm voice. The angry woman rushed over to him before anyone else could speak. "Thank goodness you're here. This boy has been destroying public property. He was hitting the bench with tools and being very aggressive when I tried to stop him." Officer Chen walked over to Marcus and looked at him carefully. She could see his Youth Corps toolkit and the official badges on his shirt. She had seen many young people like him doing repair work around the city. "What's your name, son?" she asked kindly. "Marcus Johnson," he replied. "I'm with the Youth Engineering Corps. I was fixing this hover bench when the lady got upset." Officer Chen looked at the bench. She could see that it was tilted and clearly broken. She also noticed that Marcus's tools were neatly arranged and that he had been working carefully. "Do you have your work order?" she asked. Marcus pulled out a small tablet from his toolkit. The screen showed his assignment for the day, including the exact bench he was supposed to fix. It had been approved by the city maintenance department 3 days ago. Officer Martinez took the tablet and read it carefully. Everything looked official and correct. He had seen hundreds of these work orders before. The angry woman saw him reading and got louder. "Those papers could be fake. Anyone can make fake documents these days. Look at him. Does he look like he belongs in this part of town?" Several people in the crowd started talking at once. "That's enough," said Mrs. Kelly from the flower shop. "Marcus has been helping this community for months. He's a good boy." "She's the one causing problems," added Mr. Rodriguez. Marcus was just doing his job quietly. "I've seen him fix 3 different things on this street," said another woman. "He always does good work." Officer Chen raised her hand to quiet everyone. "Down." She turned to the woman who had made the call. "Ma'am, what's your name?" "Linda Peterson," the woman said, crossing her arms. "I just moved here from Settlement 7 last month. I pay taxes, and I have a right to feel safe in my neighborhood." Officer Martinez nodded. "Of course you do, Miss Peterson. Can you tell me exactly what you saw this young man doing that seemed dangerous or illegal?" Linda pointed at Marcus. "He was hitting the bench with a hammer, and when I asked him to stop, he got attitude with me. He said he belonged here just as much as I do." "That sounded like a threat to me." Marcus shook his head. "I never hit anything with a hammer. I was using a sonic adjuster to tighten the power cell connection, And I only said I lived here because she said I didn't belong. Officer Chen looked at Marcus's toolkit again. She could see the sonic adjuster he was talking about. It was a standard repair tool that made small vibrations to secure loose parts. To someone who didn't know about engineering, it might sound like hammering. Ms. Peterson, Officer Chen said carefully, the sonic adjuster does make noise when it works. It might have sounded like hammering to you, but it's actually a precision tool. Linda's face got redder. I don't care what you call it. The point is that he doesn't belong here. People like him are the reason the outer settlements have so many problems. They break things instead of fixing them. An uncomfortable silence fell over the crowd. Everyone could hear what Linda really meant by people like him. Even the officers looked surprised by her words. Officer Martinez had been doing security work for 10 years. He had heard language like this before, mostly from people who had grown up on old Earth before the colonies were established. Most colonists had left those old ideas behind, but some still carried them. Ms. Peterson, he said firmly, colonial law is very clear about discrimination. All citizens of New Terra are equal, regardless of what they look like or where their families came from. Linda waved her hand dismissively. I'm not discriminating, I'm just being realistic. Some people cause trouble and some people don't. It's just common sense. More people in the crowd started to speak up. Their voices were getting angry, but not at Marcus. They were upset with Linda. That's not how we do things here, said an elderly man Marcus didn't recognize. My family came from Earth too, and we left that thinking behind, said a young mother holding her child. Marcus tutored my daughter in math last year, added another voice. He's smarter than most adults I know. Officer Chen could see that the situation was getting tense. Linda was outnumbered, but she didn't seem to understand that her views were not welcome in this community. Ms. Peterson, Officer Chen said, I need you to understand something. Marcus Johnson has every right to be here. His work order is legitimate, his tools are proper, and several community members can vouch for his character. Linda looked around, at all the faces staring at her. For the first time, she seemed to realize that most people disagreed with her. But he was being suspicious, she said. But her voice was less confident now. There's nothing suspicious about a young person doing community service, Officer Martinez said. In fact, it's exactly the kind of behavior we want to encourage. Marcus had been standing quietly during all this discussion. He was relieved that the officers understood the situation, but he was also sad. He had hoped that by now, people had stopped judging others by the color of their skin. Can I finish fixing the bench? Marcus asked politely. It's still dangerous the way it is now. Officer Chen smiled at him. Of course you can. We'll stay here while you work, just to make sure there aren't any more misunderstandings. Linda looked shocked. You're going to let him continue? What if he really is up to something bad? Ma'am, Officer Martinez said patiently, this young man is doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing. The only problem here is the misunderstanding that brought us here in the first place. Marcus knelt down and picked up his sonic adjuster. The crowd watched as he carefully finished connecting the power cell. Within 2 minutes, the bench stopped tilting and floated perfectly level. Several people clapped when he was done. Marcus smiled and packed up his tools, but Linda wasn't finished. This isn't right, she said loudly. Someone in authority needs to know what kind of people are wandering around the good parts of town. I want to speak to whoever is in charge of the city. Officer Chen and Officer Martinez looked at each other. They could see that Linda was not going to let this go easily. Ma'am, Officer Martinez said, if you want to file a formal complaint, you can do that at the administration building. But I should warn you that making false accusations can have serious consequences. Linda lifted her chin stubbornly. I'm not making false accusations. I know what I saw and I know what's right. Someone in real authority will understand. Neither officer knew it yet, but Linda was about to get exactly what she was asking for. Linda Peterson was not backing down. She looked around at all the people staring at her and felt even more angry. In her mind, everyone was wrong except her. This is exactly what I'm talking about, she said, her voice getting louder. You're all protecting him because you feel sorry for him. But I know what I saw. He was acting suspicious and then he threatened me. Marcus looked up from packing his tools. I never threatened you, ma'am. I just said I lived here too. See? Linda pointed at him. There's that attitude again. He thinks he can talk back to adults and get away with it. Officer Chen stepped closer to Linda. Ms. Peterson, the young man has been polite this entire time. He answered your questions respectfully and showed you his identification. Polite? Linda laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. You call it polite when someone like him acts like he owns the place? When I was growing up, children knew their place, especially children who looked like him. The crowd got very quiet. Even the children who had been playing nearby stopped to listen. Everyone could hear the hate in Linda's voice now. Mrs. Kelly from the flower shop shook her head sadly. Lady, we don't talk like that here. This isn't the old Earth. We're better than that now. Linda spun around to face her. Better? Look around you. The outer settlements are falling apart because of people like him. Crime is up. Things are always broken. And nobody wants to take responsibility. At least on Earth, people knew how to maintain order. The outer settlements have problems because they don't get enough funding, said Mr. Rodriguez. It has nothing to do with who lives there. That's what you tell yourself, Linda shot back. But I lived in Settlement 7 for 3 years. I saw what happens when certain types of people move in. The whole place goes downhill. Officer Martinez had heard enough. Ms. Peterson, you're making some very serious accusations based on nothing but prejudice. That kind of thinking caused a lot of problems back on Earth. Linda's eyes got wide and wild. Prejudice? I'm not prejudiced. I'm just telling the truth that nobody wants to hear. Some people are troublemakers and some people aren't. It's not my fault if you can't see the difference. More people were gathering now. Word was spreading through the plaza that something big was happening. Marcus recognized some of his classmates from school, and even a few of his teachers. Marcus, called out his friend Kevin, a white boy from his engineering class. What's going on? Before Marcus could answer, Linda pointed at Kevin. See? Even his own friends look surprised that he's here. They know he doesn't usually come to this part of town. Kevin looked confused. What are you talking about? Marcus lives 2 blocks from here. He's here all the time. I tutored Kevin in math last year, Marcus explained quietly to the officers. We studied together at the library. Linda wasn't listening. She was getting more upset by the minute. You're all lying to protect him. I bet if I looked into his background, I'd find all sorts of problems. Probably comes from a broken family. Probably his parents don't even work. That hit Marcus hard. His parents both worked very hard. His father was an engineer at the power plant, and his mother worked for the city government. They had taught him to be proud of his work and to always help his community. My parents both have jobs, Marcus said, his voice a little shaky. They taught me to help people and to always do my best. Sure they did, Linda said with a mean smile. I bet they taught you how to make excuses too, how to play the victim when you get caught doing something wrong. Officer Chen had been taking notes on her tablet during the whole conversation. She was building a case file that would show exactly what had happened and why. Ms. Peterson, she said firmly, you called us because you thought someone was vandalizing public property. We've established that Marcus was doing legitimate repair work with proper authorization. At this point, you're the only one causing a disturbance. Linda's face turned bright red. A disturbance? I'm trying to protect this community. Someone needs to stand up for what's right before this whole city turns into another failed settlement. What exactly do you mean by that? Officer Martinez asked. I mean that certain people bring certain problems with them wherever they go, Linda said. Look at the statistics. Look at which settlements are doing well and which ones are struggling. Then look at who lives there. The pattern is obvious if you're willing to see it. An older black man in the crowd stepped forward. Marcus recognized him as Dr. Williams, who ran the medical clinic downtown. Ma'am, Dr. Williams said calmly, I've been living on New Terra for 20 years. I've seen this colony grow from a few hundred people to over 50,000. The settlements that struggle are the ones that don't get enough resources, not the ones with people who look like me. Linda looked at Dr. Williams like he had said something impossible. "You're a doctor?" "Yes, I am. I also sit on the city council and I helped design the water treatment system that keeps all of us healthy." Linda blinked several times. This didn't fit with what she believed about people who looked like Dr. Williams. "Well," she said, "you might be different. But that doesn't change the fact that most of them cause problems." "Most of who?" Dr. Williams asked gently. Linda looked around and realized that everyone was staring at her. She had said too much, and now everyone could see exactly what she was thinking. "You know what I mean?" she said. But her voice was quieter now. "No, we don't know what you mean," said Officer Chen. "Could you be more specific?" Linda's mouth opened and closed like a fish. She wanted to say what she was really thinking, but she could see that it would make things worse for her. "I want to talk to someone in charge," she said finally. "These officers aren't taking my concerns seriously. I want to talk to their supervisor, or the mayor, or someone who has real authority." Officer Martinez looked at Officer Chen. They both knew that Linda was digging herself into a deeper hole, but they couldn't stop her. "Ma'am, if you want to file a formal complaint, we can take you to the administration building," Officer Martinez said. "But I should warn you again that making false accusations is a serious matter." "They're not false," Linda shouted. "And yes, I want to go to the administration building. I want to talk to whoever runs this city. They need to know what's happening in their streets." Officer Chen spoke into her radio. "Dispatch, we need a supervisor at Central Plaza. We have a citizen who wants to file a formal complaint." "Copy that," came the reply. "Supervisor is en route." Linda smiled for the first time since the whole thing started. "Good. Finally, someone will listen to me. Someone with real authority will understand what I'm trying to say." Marcus was still standing near his repaired bench, feeling tired and sad. He had just wanted to fix something that was broken. Now he was in the middle of a situation that was much bigger than a broken hover bench. He looked across the plaza toward the administration building. He could see some activity there, like people were getting ready for something important. He wondered if his situation would interfere with whatever was happening. Linda was pacing back and forth now, muttering to herself about finally getting to talk to someone who would understand her concerns. She had no idea that she was about to get exactly what she asked for, in a way she never expected. The doors of the administration building opened with a soft whoosh. Several people in formal clothes walked out, but one person stood out from all the rest. She was a tall black woman wearing an elegant blue dress with gold trim. She had short, neat hair and walked with confidence. Behind her came 4 security guards and 3 people in expensive suits who looked like they were from other planets. Marcus looked up from where he was standing and felt his heart jump. He knew that woman very well. He had eaten breakfast with her that morning. The crowd in the plaza started to whisper as they recognized who was coming toward them. Some people straightened up and tried to look more presentable. Others pulled out their communication devices to take pictures. Linda Peterson was still pacing and muttering to herself. She didn't notice the important-looking group walking in their direction. She was too busy planning what she would say to whoever was in charge. Officer Martinez saw the group approaching and immediately stood straighter. He nudged Officer Chen, who also straightened up when she saw who was coming. "Good morning, officers," the woman in blue said as she approached. Her voice was calm and professional. "I heard there was some kind of disturbance out here. I hope everything is under control." Linda finally looked up and saw the group of well-dressed people. She didn't recognize the woman in blue, but she could tell from the way everyone else was acting that this person was important. "Are you in charge here?" Linda asked, walking up to the woman boldly. "Because I need to talk to someone with real authority about what's been happening." The woman in blue smiled politely. "I might be able to help you. What seems to be the problem?" Linda felt relieved. Finally, someone who looked professional and serious. Someone who would understand her concerns and do something about them. "Well," Linda began, "I was walking through the plaza when I saw this boy destroying public property." She pointed at Marcus. "When I tried to stop him, he got aggressive and threatened me. These officers aren't taking it seriously because they're all protecting him. The woman in blue looked over at Marcus. For just a moment, her professional expression softened, but she quickly made her face neutral again. "I see," she said calmly. "And what exactly did the young man do that seemed threatening? To you?" Linda was happy to explain everything again. "He was hitting the bench with tools, making a lot of noise. When I asked him to stop, he said he belonged here just as much as I do. That sounded like a threat to me. Then all these people started lying for him, saying he was supposed to be here." "And you don't believe he was supposed to be here?" the woman asked. "Of course not," Linda said, getting more excited. "Look at him. Does he look like he belongs in this part of town? People like him are the reason the outer settlements have so many problems. They don't know how to take care of things properly." The three people in expensive suits behind the woman started looking at each other with raised eyebrows. They seemed surprised by what Linda was saying. "People like him?" the woman repeated, quietly. Linda nodded eagerly. "Exactly. You understand what I'm talking about. Someone with your position would know about these things. The statistics don't lie. Certain types of people cause certain types of problems." The woman in blue listened carefully to every word. Her face showed no emotion, but her eyes were getting colder. "Could you be more specific about what you mean by certain types of people?" she asked. Linda looked around nervously. She could see that everyone was listening to her very carefully now, but she had gone too far to stop. "Well," she said, lowering her voice a little, "you know, black people. They bring crime and problems wherever they go. I'm not trying to be mean, but someone has to say what everyone is thinking." A gasp went through the crowd. Even people who had heard Linda's earlier comments were shocked by how directly she said it. The woman in blue stood very still for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was ice cold. "Ma'am, would you please state your name for the record?" "Linda Peterson," Linda said, feeling proud that she was finally being taken seriously. "I just moved here from Settlement 7 last month. I pay my taxes and I have every right to feel safe in my community." "Indeed you do, Ms. Peterson," the woman said. "And now I'd like to introduce myself properly." She stepped forward and stood taller. Her security guards moved closer behind her. "My name is Patricia Johnson. I am the elected mayor of Haven City and all its settlements, including Settlement 7 where you used to live." Linda's mouth fell open. She stared at the woman as her brain tried to process what she had just heard. You're the mayor?" Linda stammered. "Yes, I am," Mayor Johnson said firmly. "I've been the mayor for 6 years. I was elected with 73% of the vote, including from Settlement 7. Linda looked around desperately. This couldn't be happening. The mayor couldn't be. She couldn't be. "But," Linda said weakly, "I'm what, Ms. Peterson?" Mayor Johnson asked. "Please, finish your sentence." Linda's face went white. She realized that she had just spent the last hour explaining her racist views to the black mayor of her city. I didn't know," Linda whispered. "You didn't know that the mayor of your city is black?" Mayor Johnson asked. "Or you didn't know that it's wrong to judge people by the color of their skin?" The three people in expensive suits were watching everything with great interest. One of them, a tall man with green skin who was clearly from another planet, leaned over to whisper to his companion. "Is this normal behavior for human colonists?" he asked quietly. "No," whispered back a woman with silver hair. "Most humans left this kind of thinking behind when they came to the stars." Mayor Johnson heard them and felt embarrassed that visitors from other worlds were seeing this display of old Earth prejudices. "Ms. Peterson," she said clearly, "I want to make sure I understand your complaint correctly. You called security on a young person because you didn't think he belonged in this part of town. Is that correct?" Linda nodded miserably. "And your reasoning was based entirely on the color of his skin?" Linda tried to speak, but no words came out. "Let me ask you something else," Mayor Johnson continued. "Do you know who that young man is?" Linda shook her head. Mayor Johnson walked over to Marcus and put her hand on his shoulder. "This is Marcus Johnson. He's a straight-A student at the Colonial Engineering Academy. He volunteers 20 hours a week doing community service. He's repaired infrastructure all over this city, including in Settlement 7. Linda stared at them both, still, not understanding. "He's also my son," Mayor Johnson said clearly. Linda's legs almost gave out. She grabbed onto Officer Martinez's arm to keep from falling down. The crowd was completely silent. Even the children had stopped playing to watch what was happening. "Your son?" Linda whispered. "Yes," Mayor Johnson said. "My son. The same son you just spent an hour describing as a threat to this community. The same son you said doesn't belong here, even though this is his home." Linda looked back and forth between Marcus and his mother. She could see the resemblance now, in their eyes and the way they both stood straight and proud. "I didn't know," Linda said again, but her voice was so quiet that almost no one could hear her. "No," Mayor Johnson said sadly. "You didn't know, but that's exactly the problem, isn't it?" Mayor Johnson looked at Linda Peterson for a long moment. Linda was standing there with her mouth open, looking like she had seen a ghost. The mayor's face was serious, but not angry. She looked more sad than mad. "Ms. Peterson," Mayor Johnson said in her official voice, "I want you to repeat your complaints for the record, but this time I want you to think very carefully about what you're saying." Linda's hands were shaking. She looked around at all the people staring at her. She looked at the officers, at the crowd, and at the important visitors from other planets. Everyone was waiting to hear what she would say. I made a mistake," Linda whispered. "What kind of mistake?" Mayor Johnson asked. "Did you mistake what you saw my son doing, or did you mistake what kind of person he is based on how he looks?" Linda didn't answer. She couldn't look at Marcus or his mother. One of the visitors, the tall man with green skin, stepped forward. "Excuse me, Mayor Johnson. I am Ambassador Krell from the Centauri Federation. We came here today to sign trade agreements with your colony. Is this situation normal for your society?" Mayor Johnson felt her heart sink. These visitors were some of the most important people in the galaxy. They represented 3 different alien civilizations that were considering major trade deals with human colonies. Now they were seeing the worst side of humanity. "No, Ambassador Krell," she said firmly. "This is not normal for our society. This kind of thinking is exactly what we left behind when humanity came to the stars." The second visitor, a woman with silver hair and purple eyes, also spoke up. "I am Chancellor Vex from the Rigel Consortium. We have been watching human colonies for many years. We thought you had evolved beyond these primitive tribal distinctions." Linda finally found her voice. "I'm not primitive. I'm just being realistic about the problems we have. Someone has to tell the truth about what's really happening." "And what truth is that?" asked the third visitor. A being that looked like it was made of living crystal. Linda looked at all the alien faces staring at her. She realized that they really wanted to know what she was thinking. "Well," she said, "different types of humans cause different types of problems. Some people work hard and follow rules, other people don't. It's just the way things are." Ambassador Krell looked confused. "But how do you determine which type a person is?" "You can tell by looking at them," Linda said, "by their skin color and where they come from. The crystal being made a sound like wind chimes. This is fascinating. On your planet Earth, you divided yourselves by the color of your outer covering." "It's not just color," Linda said, getting defensive. "It's about culture and behavior and statistics." Chancellor Vex turned to Mayor Johnson. "Is this person representative of human thinking?" "Absolutely not," Mayor Johnson said quickly. "Ms. Peterson's views are outdated and rejected by the vast majority of colonists. We chose to leave that kind of thinking behind." Marcus had been standing quietly during all this, but now he stepped forward. "Mom, maybe I should explain." Mayor Johnson nodded. She was proud of how calm her son was staying. Marcus looked at the alien visitors. "Sirs and ma'am, a long time ago on Earth, some humans used skin color to decide who was important and who wasn't. It caused a lot of wars and suffering. When we came to the stars, we promised to judge people by what they do, not what they look like." "And this promise was kept?" asked Ambassador Krell. "By most people, yes," Marcus said. But some people, like Ms. Peterson, still think the old way. Linda couldn't stay quiet anymore. The old way worked. People knew their place and society was more stable. Now everything is mixed up and confusing. Dr. Williams, the doctor from the medical clinic, shook his head. Ms. Peterson, I grew up on Earth during those times. Society wasn't stable. It was full of anger and violence. That's why we left. You left because you couldn't make it work. On Earth, Linda shot back. But that doesn't mean the ideas were wrong. Mayor Johnson had heard enough. Ms. Peterson, let me tell you some facts about my son that you didn't bother to learn before you judged him. She pulled out her tablet and began reading. Marcus Johnson, age 17. Grade point average, 4.0. Community service hours this all. Year 247. Number of public systems he has repaired, 73. Number of complaints against him, 0 until today. Linda listened but didn't look convinced. He has also, Mayor Johnson continued, personally tutored 23 students in math and science. He designed a new water filter system that's being used in Settlement 7, where you used to live, and last month he won the colony-wide engineering competition. The alien visitors looked impressed. Ambassador Krell made some notes on a small device. Furthermore, Mayor Johnson said, Marcus has been accepted to the Advanced Engineering program at New Terra University with a full scholarship. He's also been offered internships by 3 different off-world companies. Marcus looked surprised. Really, Mom? I got the university acceptance? Mayor Johnson smiled at her son. The message came this morning. I was going to tell you tonight at dinner. The crowd started clapping for Marcus. Even some of the police officers were smiling. Linda looked around desperately. That doesn't change anything. He's probably just one of the good ones. That doesn't mean they're all like that? Chancellor Vex looked shocked. Good ones? Are you suggesting that members of your own species are fundamentally different based on appearance? Yes, Linda said. No. It's complicated. The crystal being spoke again. It does not sound complicated. It sounds like primitive, tribalism. We had hoped humans were beyond such things. Mayor Johnson felt embarrassed for her entire species. Please understand, most humans are beyond this. Ms. Peterson represents a very small minority with outdated beliefs. But she moved freely among you, Ambassador Krell pointed out. She was allowed to make these accusations without immediate correction. Because we believe in free speech, Marcus said. Even when people say things we disagree with. But we also believe in consequences for actions. Linda finally realized how much trouble she was in. Consequences? What kind of consequences? Mayor Johnson looked at her seriously. Ms. Peterson, you filed a false police report based on racial prejudice. You wasted public resources and caused a public disturbance. You also embarrassed our colony in front of important visitors. I have rights, Linda protested. Yes, you do, Mayor Johnson agreed. And so does everyone else, including my son. Your rights don't include the right to harass people because of their skin color. Officer Chen stepped forward with her tablet. Ms. Peterson, you're being charged with filing a false police report and disturbing the peace. You'll need to appear. In court next week. Linda's face went white again. This isn't fair. I was just trying to protect the community. Protect it from what? Asked Dr. Williams. From a young man fixing a broken bench? From people who don't belong, Linda said weakly. Mayor Johnson shook her head sadly. Ms. Peterson, this is exactly the kind of thinking that almost destroyed humanity on Earth. We came to the stars to be better than this. The alien visitors were taking notes and whispering to each other. Marcus could see that they were disappointed in what they had witnessed. I'm sorry you had to see this, Marcus said to them. Most humans really are better than this now. Ambassador, Krell looked at him thoughtfully. Young human, your behavior today has been admirable. You remained calm under pressure and treated everyone with respect, even when you were being treated poorly. Thank you, sir, Marcus said. Linda was still standing there, looking lost and confused. She had come to the plaza that morning thinking she was doing the right thing. Now she was facing criminal charges, and had humiliated herself in front of the most important people in the city. Mayor Johnson stepped forward and faced the crowd that had gathered in the plaza. The alien visitors stood behind her, still taking notes and watching everything carefully. She knew that what she said next would be very important, not just for her city, but for how other species viewed humanity. "Citizens of Haven City," she began, her voice carrying across the plaza. "What you witnessed here today is a reminder of something very important. It's a reminder of why our ancestors left Earth and came to the stars." The crowd grew quiet. Even the children stopped playing to listen. 200 years ago, Mayor Johnson continued, humans on Earth spent most of their time fighting each other. They fought over the color of their skin, over which country they were born in, over which religion they followed. They wasted so much energy on hate that they almost destroyed their own planet. Linda Peterson was still standing near the officers, looking smaller and more ashamed with each word the mayor spoke. "When humans finally reached the stars," Mayor Johnson said, "we made a promise. We promised that we would judge people by their actions, not by their appearance. We promised that we would work together instead of fighting each other. We promised that we would be better." Ambassador Krell stepped forward. "Mayor Johnson, if I may ask a question?" "Of course, Ambassador." "This promise you speak of, how well has it been kept?" Mayor Johnson looked around at the diverse crowd of people listening to her. She could see humans with different skin colors, people from different settlements, young and old, all standing together. "It has been kept very well, Ambassador. What you saw today from Ms. Peterson is not typical of our society. It's an old poison that sometimes surfaces, but it's always rejected by our communities." She gestured to the crowd. "Look around you. These people came together to defend Marcus, not because they had to, but because they believe in fairness. They believe in judging people by their character." Marcus was standing next to his mother, feeling proud but also sad. He was proud of his community for supporting him, but sad that such support was still necessary. "Mom," he said quietly, "can I say something?" Mayor Johnson nodded and stepped aside. Marcus looked at the alien visitors. "Sirs and ma'am, I want you to know that what happened today doesn't represent most humans. Yes, some people still think, like Ms. Peterson, but they're becoming fewer every year." He pointed to his classmates in the crowd. "My generation has grown up together. We don't see skin color as important. We care about whether someone is smart, kind, and helpful." Chancellor Vex made a note on her device. "That is encouraging. Young Marcus, how do you ensure that the old thinking doesn't return?" Dr. Williams answered that question. "We teach our children about the mistakes of the past. We show them what happens when people judge others by appearance instead of actions. And we never let incidents like today go unchallenged." Linda Peterson finally spoke up. "But there are real differences between people. You can't just ignore statistics and facts." Mayor Johnson turned to face her. "Ms. Peterson, what facts are you referring to?" "Crime rates, education levels, employment numbers," Linda said. "The data shows patterns." "Yes, it does," Mayor Johnson agreed. "It shows that people who grow up poor tend to have more problems than people who grow up rich. It shows that people who don't get good education tend to struggle more than people who do. But none of that has anything to do with skin color." Marcus nodded. "In my engineering classes, we learn that correlation doesn't mean causation. Just because two things happen at the same time doesn't mean one causes the other." The crystal being made its wind chime sound again. "This is interesting. Your species has the intelligence to understand such concepts, yet some individuals still make illogical connections." "That's exactly right," said Dr. Williams. "Fear and prejudice make people ignore logic. They want simple explanations for complex problems." Linda looked around at everyone staring at her. "So what am I supposed to do? Just ignore what I see with my own eyes?" "You're supposed to look deeper," Mayor Johnson said gently. "Instead of asking why Marcus is black, you should have asked why he was working on that bench. Instead of assuming he was causing trouble, you should have looked at his tools and his uniform." Officer Chen stepped forward with her tablet. "Ms. Peterson, you have two choices. You can attend cultural integration classes and community service. For 6 months, or you can be relocated back to Earth. Linda's eyes got wide. Back to Earth? But I just got here. The choice is yours, Officer Chen said. But if you stay, you'll need to learn how to live in a society that values all people equally. Linda looked around desperately. She could see that no one was going to support her old way of thinking. I'll take the classes, she said quietly. Mayor Johnson nodded. Good. I hope you'll learn something from them. Ambassador Krell approached Marcus with a small device in his hand. Young human, I would like to offer you something. What is it, sir? A scholarship to study engineering at the Galactic Technology Institute. It's the most advanced school in this part of the galaxy. Marcus's mouth fell open. Really? But I'm just a teenager. A teenager who remained calm under pressure, showed respect for others, and demonstrated advanced problem-solving skills, Chancellor Vex said. These are exactly the qualities we look for in potential galactic citizens. The crowd started cheering. Marcus felt overwhelmed by all the attention. Marcus, Mayor Johnson said, this is what happens when you judge people by their character, instead of their appearance. Your actions today impressed beings from 3 different civilizations. Linda was watching all of this with a confused expression. I don't understand. How did this happen? Dr. Williams walked over to her. This happened because Marcus spent years building a reputation based on his actions. He helped people, studied hard, and treated everyone with respect. That's how real success works. But it's not fair, Linda said. I've been working hard too. Working hard at what? Asked Mrs. Kelly from the flower shop. All I've seen you do is complain about other people. Marcus walked over to Linda. Everyone watched to see what he would do. Ms. Peterson, he said politely, I hope the classes help you understand that people are just people. We all want the same basic things, to be safe, to be respected, and to have opportunities to succeed. Linda looked at him for a long moment. You're not angry at me? I'm disappointed, Marcus said honestly. But anger won't solve anything. Understanding might. The alien visitors finished taking their notes and prepared to leave. Ambassador Krell shook hands with Mayor Johnson. Your colony has impressed us today, he said. Not because you're perfect, but because you're committed to getting better. That's the mark of a truly advanced civilization. As the visitors left, the crowd began to disperse. Linda walked away quietly with Officer Chen to begin her processing. Marcus finished packing up his tools. Marcus, his mother said, I'm proud of you for how you handled today. Thanks, Mom. I just did what you and Dad taught me. What's that? That. The best way to fight ignorance is with intelligence, and the best way to fight hate is with love. Mayor Johnson smiled and put her arm around her son. Together, they walked home through the plaza where Marcus had just helped make their community a little bit better. One repaired bench and one changed mind at a time. The hover bench floated perfectly level behind them, working exactly as it was supposed to, in a community that was slowly but surely learning to work the same way.